Now come to the urgent question. Gavin Robinson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to ask the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland if he will make a statement on reports of a serious, violent attack in North Belfast involving a foreign national and the implications for public safety, immigration enforcement and community cohesion.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the right honourable gentleman for his question. Shortly after 10:30 p.m. last night, a man in his 40s was subjected to an horrific, sustained knife attack in a street in North Belfast. He is in hospital in a serious condition, having suffered very severe injuries. I know the thoughts of the whole House will be with him and his loved ones at what must be a time of unimaginable distress. The response from the Police Service of Northern Ireland was immediate. A man in his 30s was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. He remains in police custody and the PSNI are continuing to investigate. They have declared it a critical incident. But amidst the horror of what happened, we also saw something extraordinary. When confronted with scenes of terrifying violence, members of the public did not walk on by. Instead, a number of them stepped forward and at immense risk to their own safety, they intervened to pull the assailant away and protect the victim until the police arrived. To those individuals, I would like to say this. You showed the very best of humanity, and you have the profound gratitude of this entire House. This was a horrific and brutal attack, and the PSNI are seeking to provide support and reassurance to the local community. The Chief Constable, to whom I have spoken twice this morning, and his officers have our full unwavering support as they pursue their inquiries. I would also like to repeat their appeal not to share or repost footage of the attack out of respect for the victim's family. Mr. Speaker, I echo the words of the Prime Minister this morning that there is no place for such violence on our streets. All of us have a responsibility now to urge calm and let the police do their job.
Gavin Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, can I firstly thank you for granting this urgent question. The attempted murder in Belfast last night was chilling. What has been seen by thousands already across the country cannot be unseen. It was medieval. The systematic mutilation and attempted slaughter of a citizen of Belfast on our streets. Mr. Speaker, my prayers are with the victim, and I similarly praise the brave man who, with a hurl in his hand, intervened to save his neighbour's life, and this House should praise him too. Mr. Speaker, what occurred last night will have profound implications for community cohesion in this country. This needs to be a time for honesty and openness and truth. Will he confirm that he and his government recognise that uncontrolled immigration needs to end? Will he confirm that the government needs to reassure and protect our population who for too long have had their concerns ignored? And knowing that he and the Chief Constable and I share a concern that there could be violence, and express my wish and our collective desire for calm, that community cohesion lies on the precipice. Will he confirm that the actions last night in no way reflect or represent the values of our nation? That the victim belongs in Belfast but the attacker does not? Having abused the privilege of our nation. The perpetrator living in the UK under a 5-year visa needs to be convicted and deported on the first flight out on a one-way ticket.
Well, I would say to the right honourable gentleman, first of all, the footage that many people have seen is indeed truly horrifying. On his last point, as he will be well aware, any foreign national who abuses the hospitality of this country to commit crime should be in no doubt of our determination to deport them. We need to allow the criminal justice process to take place. On his question about net migration, as he will know, it is now down 82% from the peak reached under the previous government. But I would most particularly echo what he has said in appealing for calm, because we have seen previously in Belfast in August 2024 and in Ballymena in 2025 what happens after horrific incidents when there is disorder on the streets, because it is the communities that suffer, it is innocent people who suffer and whose lives can be put at risk. And that is why all political leaders have such a solemn responsibility to urge the calm that I have called for in my response to his question today.
Chris Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Secretary of State for his statement, and can I also thank my right honourable friend for asking the question. As a member of the Northern Ireland Select Committee, I've visited Belfast on several occasions and I've been struck by the incredible nature of the community spirit and the incredible city. What we witnessed last night is the worst of humanity, but also the best of humanity. I think it is incredible that bystanders came to the aid of that individual suffering a brutal attack. Can the Secretary of State assure me that the PSNI will be given every resource they need to conduct a swift investigation and ensure that all facts are shared with the public? And can we also ensure that those brave people who rushed to the aid of one of our own countrymen is given the honour and the reward that they deserve for representing the best of our humanity?
State.
Well, I say to my honourable friend that I know from the conversations I've had with the Chief Constable this morning that the PSNI are treating this, of course, as the House would expect, with the utmost seriousness and are pursuing their inquiries. We need to let the police investigation and, in due course, any criminal justice process take its place. I am in favour of as much information being shared as soon as possible, and I would report to the House, Mr. Speaker, that the PSNI will be holding a press conference in approximately 5.5 minutes' time to provide more information about the incident. I also join my honourable friend in expressing hope that the bravery that we saw on the streets of North Belfast last night may in due time be recognised.
Minister Matt Vickers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to echo the Secretary of State's comments in condemning this dreadful attack. Last night's attack in North Belfast was horrifying, appalling and deeply disturbing. This was a brutal act of violence that will have sent shockwaves through the local community and caused huge concern across the city, Northern Ireland and the whole of the United Kingdom. My thoughts, and I'm sure those of the whole of the House, are with the victim whose condition has been described as serious. I also want to pay tribute to the PSNI and members of the public who displayed remarkable courage in stepping in to confront the attacker before the police arrived. The police service of Northern Ireland must be given the time and space to carry out a full and thorough investigation, and those responsible must face the full force of the law. However, given the understandable public concerns surrounding the incident, it's vital that the facts are established and we have the transparency that people deserve. Can the Secretary of State confirm the immigration status of the attacker? If, as is reported, the attacker is a foreign national, what steps will the Home Office take? It is urgent the facts are put on the public record to avoid speculation and prevent an information vacuum which the Independent Review of Terror legislation has warned about. If there has been failings on our borders, this is yet another reminder that we do need stronger borders, and this is why we believe it is time to leave the ECHR. I encourage all who have evidence of the attack to come forward and support the PSNI in its investigation. I join the Secretary of State and all communities in condemning this horrific attack.
Secretary of State.
Well, I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman for his comments and for the tone in which he expressed them, because it is, I think, very important that we act responsibly in these circumstances. I agree, as I've already indicated, that information should be made available to the public. The proper procedure in answering his very specific question is for the PSNI to be in contact with the Home Office, which I know they have been doing, in order to establish the facts around the individual. And I would anticipate, as I say, it's proper that the police provide that, as they are leading the investigation, and I anticipate that more information will be made available shortly by the PSNI, is the right and proper approach. I would have to say, however, I do not agree with what he said about the European Convention of Human Rights. It's very important we have it because it protects the liberty of all of us.
Dr. L. Pinkerton, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reports from Kinnaird Avenue are indeed deeply distressing. My thoughts are with the victim and with his family. I pay tribute to the residents who did the extraordinary thing of running towards danger, intervened to restrain the attacker and help protect another person's life. I also thank police officers and paramedics who responded with such speed and professionalism. Their actions almost certainly saved a life yesterday evening. What I know of North Belfast is that it's a community that has worked hard to build trust across long-standing divides, and that residents will be as horrified by this attack as the rest of us. Will the Secretary of State reassure residents that they will be kept safe in the days ahead, confirm that the PSNI have the support that it needs to maintain a visible presence, and make clear that no one should exploit one individual's actions to cast suspicion on a whole community?
State.
Well, I agree with the honourable gentleman in everything that he said, and I know that the PSNI is working hard to provide reassurance to the local community and to make arrangements for that reassurance to be visible. In the face of those, let us be frank in this House, who will wish to use this terrible event to stir up trouble and to seek disorder on the streets of Northern Ireland. And I say that because we have seen it before. We do not wish to see it again, and that is why all community leaders, politicians and others have such a responsibility to call for the calm that he himself has so eloquently called for.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I first of all thank the Secretary of State for his well-chosen words, wise words as well, and for his answers. Tensions are inflamed, and at this moment I'm aware of planned protests throughout my constituency of Strangford, and I'm also aware that many of those who intend to attend do so not because they are frightened for their family alone, but instead feel their fears are ignored when they make a good and grand statement. So how can the Secretary of State and this government ensure that people from Portavogie to Newtownards know that their right to peacefully protest is respected, but more than this, that their government, my government, will make changes for safety reasons as a matter of urgency? Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, I join with the honourable member in reasserting the right of every citizen of our country to protest peacefully. But we have seen in the past that there are those, provoked by others, who sought to use that opportunity to then promote violence and disorder. And I join with him in saying peaceful protest, of course, everyone has the right to express their view. But in the end, if we want to support the PSNI, the last thing people should be doing is stretching their resources across Northern Ireland to deal with protests that aren't going to help anyone and are not going to assist in the furtherance of this investigation, so the perpetrator can be brought to face justice. That is the way we do things in our country, is it?
Jim Alistair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're all shocked by the sheer savagery of this attack, and indeed the only bright spot in this orgy of violence was the brave intervention of local citizens whose courage we salute. But what I want to know, and what I know my constituents want to hear, is what will be done to stop the importation of an alien culture that thinks it's appropriate to try and behead someone within the United Kingdom. And on the immigration status of this person, did they hold a visa before they came to the United Kingdom? Did they obtain a visa having come illegally to the United Kingdom? I think we're entitled to know. And I do say to the Secretary of State, this House should be getting its information from the Secretary of State, not from the press conference of a Chief Constable. And I think the House is entitled to know, because there's truth and transparency, which is the greatest antidote to rising tensions. So can we have the answers?
Secretary of State.
Well, I would say I'm sorry that the honourable gentleman used the word alien culture, because what exactly is he referring to? What the British people have had enough of, or anyone from wherever they come, whatever their background, who seeks to commit violence on citizens of the United Kingdom. That is what we together are strongly opposed to. There is a proper procedure that needs to be followed in relation to the release of information. It is a live investigation. I think it is right and proper that the police lead on that, and that is why it is the police who have been in touch with the Home Office and will provide further information. And as soon as I am also able to update the House, I will do so. I am also in favour of as much information as possible being provided once process has been followed to make sure that it can be confirmed.
Julian Lewis.
Whilst I agree with virtually everything the Secretary of State said in his opening response, I really am baffled by his refusal to share with the House a piece of simple information. Did this person come legally into this country and has a 5-year visa because he came legally, or was he given this visa after entering the country illegally? This information will come out sooner or later, and what we have learnt from similar terrible incidents like this is the longer it is withheld, the worse the rumour mill goes into action.
Well, I do understand the last point that the right honourable gentleman makes, but it is very important in these circumstances to be absolutely sure about the facts before they are released. And the proper vehicle for doing that is the PSNI being in touch with the Home Office, which is what has been happening this morning. As the right honourable gentleman may be aware, the police originally said they believed him to be of one nationality. It may well turn out that he is in fact of another nationality, which does demonstrate the point I'm trying to put to the House, that it is important that the police lead on that so that the full facts can come out and then they can be made available to the House and to the country.
Lee Anderson.
Mr. Speaker, of course, the Secretary of State will know the answer to this question. Did the assailant enter the United Kingdom as an illegal migrant stroke asylum seeker?
Well, until I am in a position, by talking to the honourable gentleman has asked me a question. Would he do me the courtesy of allowing me to answer it? Until I am in a position to have that confirmed, I cannot confirm it to the House. As soon as I can, I will. But as I've already explained, it is the PSNI that is leading on answering the very legitimate question that he has asked.
Robin Swan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Right Honourable Member for East Belfast described this incident as medieval. It wasn't just medieval, it was pure evil when we saw what happened on the streets of the United Kingdom. And while tribute has been paid for those members of the general public who stepped in and the emergency services that responded, can I also seek a reassurance from the Secretary of State that those members of the general public who stepped in will actually be recognised and not be persecuted or prosecuted for the actions that they actually took in regards to attacking that individual? And can I also encourage the Secretary of State to come forward and fill the vacuum of information that's out there, because he does know more than I think he is telling the House at this minute in time in regards to this incident.
It was an act of pure evil. I agree with the honourable gentleman in saying that. I'm surprised that he suggests there's any possibility of those who came to the aid of the victim should be at risk of prosecution because they were trying to save him when judging by the footage, when the attacker was trying to inflict great harm upon him. and my judgment, having looked at that, is what they did was proportionate and fair. But that is for others to judge. It is important that they are recognised. I've already indicated the House. As soon as I have information that is confirmed and which I can be sure of, I will inform the House.
Gregory Capp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tens of thousands of people are horrified at the circulation online of the video that the Secretary of State has alluded to. And while he quite rightly congratulates the members of the public who intervened, and they did, whether it was a hurl bat or a cricketing bat, they took action. But what we need to see now, as tension rises, we need to see government action to restrict and inhibit people arriving in this country illegally, some of which carry out the actions that we saw on the streets of Belfast last night.
Well, the honourable gentleman will be well aware of the action that the government is taking to deal with illegal migration. And I've also made clear to the House the steps we take if anyone, however they came to the country or whether they are from this country, commits a criminal offence, they will face due process. And any foreign national, regardless of how they came, who abuses our hospitality and commits crimes, can expect to be deported at the end of their sentence.
Co Lockhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My thoughts are very much with the victim of this horrific attack last night, and I want to also echo the calls for calm in our communities. Communities in Northern Ireland are angry, they are demanding answers, and they deserve answers. Sadly today, I don't feel they're getting those answers, and it's not lost on the people of North Belfast, who is in this place today speaking up for working class communities who are very concerned about uncontrolled immigration and the fact that many houses now, that mayors won't even tell how many houses they have full of immigrants. So my question is, was this individual known to the authorities? How many other from the same country are currently being accommodated in Northern Ireland? How did they enter the UK, and what action this government is taking to prevent abuse of our immigration system, including via the land border within the Republic of Ireland?
Well, I say to the honourable member that the public are right to be angry about what they witnessed in that appalling video and what they have heard about the attack that took place. As I've already indicated to the House, I mean, some of the questions that she's asked I will endeavour to come back to her on. Others will be provided in due course once the facts have been checked. It's really important that the facts are checked before information is given to the House, because I won't want to stand here and say one thing and it turns out that is not the case. So checking that thoroughly is a responsibility on me before I inform the House, and that is what I intend to do.
Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also echo the sentiments of members in this House in sending my thoughts and prayers to the victim of this horrific attack? And in specific, can I also extend my gratitude to the local community who bravely intervened? What we all must do now is encourage calm at this most troubling time and stop tension from further being inflamed. And to that end, does the Minister agree that we must not let the heinous actions of one person be taken as an opportunity to taint an entire community, and that we should not and must not attempt to fill the gaps whilst the story and the police investigation continues to deliver justice to the victim and their family?
Well, I do agree with the honourable gentleman when he says that. And when I think back to those who were attacked in the wake of the terrible events in Southport and then in Ballymena, we know that in Northern Ireland, certain of individuals were attacked. It had nothing to do with any of this, simply because of the colour of their skin. And that is not what this country is about. Identify an attacker, due process in due course after investigation. Do not cast aspersions on a whole community. Many people from all backgrounds contributing so much to our national life.
Joker Adam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Secretary of State for that answer. And following on, I myself also give my deepest sympathies for the victims and his family and pay tribute to the bystanders who intervene at this horrific case. Does the Secretary of State agree with me, as he has already expressed, further that crime and heroes come in all different hues and colours, like we have seen in Cambridgeshire in the train, as the stabber of the Saudi student in Cambridgeshire in the picturesque streets last year. It doesn't matter which background you come from, and it's a responsibility for members in this House to temper their inflammatory remarks so we do not see actions like we did last week in Southampton, where innocent police officers are having to go into hiding.
Well, I would say to the honourable member, we all have a responsibility by our actions and our words not to inflame, and we all have a responsibility, as I indicated in answering the Right Honourable Gentleman's original question, to plead for calm in these circumstances. That is the right thing to do on behalf of all the people of Northern Ireland.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Calm is essential after this horrific, brutal attack. We all know that. The Secretary of State has referred to further information coming out as we speak. Will he therefore commit to returning to this House later today, if possible, to update the House on the important information around the suspect and any other information?
I'm very happy to say to the honourable gentleman, I will report to the House in an appropriate form as soon as I am able to do so.
Right, that completes the questions. Let the front benches change over.